how deep the Father's love for us, how vast beyond all measure, that He should give His only Son to make a wretch His treasure.
David asks why? Saying You're Sorry Part 3b. Steps to Christ Easy Reading Version. Paul was a very important preacher in the Bible. He knew all about God's law and was very proud of himself because he thought he kept it perfectly. Philippians chapter 3 verse 6. But when he began to understand that the law was all about God and not all about him, he was sad and ashamed. When he saw that the law was supposed to be in his heart, not just rules telling him what he was supposed to do, he realized that he was really a sinner, and he couldn't be proud of himself anymore. Some sins displease God more than other sins. But even if something seems like only a small sin to people, God doesn't see it that way. He sees sins as they really are. Have you ever seen a drunk person? People often think that a drunk man is terribly wicked. They say that he will never go to heaven. But God thinks some sins are much, much worse than being drunk. Some people think they're better than everyone else. Some people are very selfish, always wanting the biggest and best of everything. God sees these sins as very bad because He is unselfish and loving. If a person gets drunk or does something else that we think is terribly bad, he will probably feel very sorry and ashamed afterward. But a person who thinks he or she is better than everyone else, or is selfish, might not even realize that selfishness is a sin. So selfishness and pride are very dangerous sins because most of the time selfish, proud people don't feel they need to come to Jesus. They don't believe they really need Jesus, even though He came to give them more good things than they can imagine. Jesus told a story about a tax collector and a teacher who went to church one Sabbath and prayed. Luke chapter 18 verse 13. Nobody liked the tax collector, so he stood in a corner and prayed quietly to God. He knew he was a wicked man, so he begged for God to have pity on him. His heart was open for God to set him free and to heal him from sin. The teacher was very proud of self. He thanked God because he thought he was very holy, when actually he was very selfish. He thought he was so great that he wasn't even listening when God spoke to his heart. He was far from God and didn't really know what God was like, so he couldn't see how bad he was. He didn't ask God for help and holiness when he prayed, so he didn't get anything from God. Do you see that you are a sinner? Don't wait and try to make yourself better. A lot of people think they are too bad to come to Jesus. Do you think you can make yourself good if you try really hard? Can a person change the color of his skin? Can a leopard erase his spots? Of course not. And you are so used to doing bad things that you can't be good either. Jeremiah 13 verse 23. Only God can help you. Don't wait to change until your heart is burning or until you feel like being good. Come to Jesus just as you are. Don't be fooled, though. Some people think that God is so loving and kind that He will save everyone, and even those who refuse to be His friends. God knows how bad sin really is. Sin is so bad that it killed Jesus on a cross. Do you think that God is so nice that He will never punish bad people? Sin was so bad that God had to let His own Son die. We can never clean up our hearts by ourselves. We can never get to heaven by ourselves. That's why Jesus took our sins and died instead of us. If we think about all the love it took for Jesus to die for us, we'll understand just how terrible sin really is. Then we will know that the only way to be free from sin and to get to heaven is to give our hearts to Jesus and be willing to obey Him. If people aren't really sorry for their sins, they look at Christians and say, I'm just as good as they are. They aren't any better than I am. They aren't more holy. They're just as selfish as I am. They think that just because other people are sometimes bad, it's okay for them to be bad too. But Jesus never asked us to look at other Christians and be like them. He wants us to be like Him. If you believe that Christians should be good, go to Jesus so that you can be good. Jesus wants you to give up your sins and ask for a clean heart. Don't wait until it's too late. Lots of people have waited and waited, thinking they would give their hearts to Jesus soon. But the time never came. And they waited until it was too late to decide to wait to come to Jesus. You're really choosing to keep being bad. And this is dangerous. It doesn't matter how small your sin is. You must let Jesus have it. If you don't let the sin go, it will end up hurting you and finally killing you. Adam and Eve just ate a little piece of fruit in the garden. God told them not to eat any of it, but they thought it was such a little thing that it didn't matter. Bur, that little thing broke God's holy law and pulled them away from God. That one little sin opened up the door for sickness and death. That happened a long time ago. But ever since then, there was crying and sadness all over earth. Even the angels in heaven are sad because of how wicked people are. They lost a lot when their dear Jesus came to earth and died.
Don't ever think that sin is just a little thing. Every time you sin, every single time you decide to ignore what Jesus wants from you, it hurts you. LT makes your heart hard and makes it harder for you to understand the Bible when you say no to Jesus. It makes it easier to say no to him the next time. Do you think you can change whenever you want to? Do you think Jesus will always make you feel bad when you do something wrong? If you keep on doing the bad things you like to do, it won't be so easy to change later. The things you do work on your heart. The more you are bad, the more you want to be bad. And someday when Jesus calls to your heart, you may not even care. Jesus wants us to give him everything bad. Or if we try to hold on to even one little sin, someday it will push Jesus all the way out of our hearts. Every time we sin, it gets harder to obey. Don't play with sin, don't keep it around. And if you don't give it to Jesus now, someday it will trap you. Proverbs 5 verse 22. Jesus wants to make us free, but he won't make us give him our sins. And if we keep being stubborn and don't want to be free, there's nothing he can do. If we keep saying no to his love, we will only hurt ourselves. Now is the right time. 2 Corinthians 6 verse 2. The very best time to choose to listen to Jesus and give him our hearts. Proverbs 5 verse 22. The way we look, the things we say and do, the kind of clothes we wear, all these things are important to people. But do you know what's important to God? Your heart. Sometimes we're happy, and sometimes we're sad, for hearts change all the time. God knows what our hearts are all about. He knows everything we want to do and why we feel the way we do. Go to God with your unclean heart. Open up your secrets and let God take a look at you. Do you want God to know you well? Do you want him to understand when you're afraid? And if you ask for his help, he will always show you just what to do. A lot of people think it's enough to act like a Christian, even if the heart is not changed. But you should pray, "Dear God, give me a brand new clean heart. Make my spirit right with you again." Psalm 51 verse 10. Be honest with yourself. Make sure you really know that you love God and that he will do whatever he asks. And if you just look like a Christian but you never let Jesus give you a good heart, then someday you will die. Listen to Bible stories and really think about what Jesus is saying to you. The Bible tells us about God's law, and the life of Jesus LT will teach you how to really be good and how to go to heaven. Hebrews 12 verse 14. The Bible teaches you what things are bad, but it also shows you how to be saved. Listen to God, he's calling you. Do you know that you've been bad? Don't give up. If you are a sinner, then you are just the one that Jesus wants to save. We don't have to try to make God our friend. Jesus died just so we could be right with God again. 2 Corinthians 5 verse 19. He's calling lovingly to our hearts. He's more loving and kind than even a wonderful mom or dad. And when we make mistakes, he is very patient. He promises to help us and offers for us to be his friends because he loves us more than anyone else does. Satan likes to make we think that we are very bad. When he tempts us like this, we can talk about how good Jesus is. When we think about Jesus and his love, it will help us. Tell Satan, "I know I have sinned, but Jesus came to save people just like me, and I know that he will help me because he loves me." 1 Timothy 1 verse 15. Simon was a very important man who was a friend of Jesus. One day, Jesus told him a story. Once upon a time, Jesus said, there were 3 men. One of these men was a very rich ruler, and the other 2 were his servants. One of the servants borrowed a little bit of money from the ruler, and the other servant borrowed a lot of money. Later, they both felt very bad because neither could pay him back. So the ruler decided to be nice. He said that neither one of the men had to give him back the money. They were both happy. Then Jesus asked Simon, "Which servant do you think was the happiest?" Simon knew right away, the one that owed his master the most money. Luke 7 verse 43. We are like those 2 men, and God is like the ruler. Because we have sinned, we owe him everything. But Jesus died so that everything would be taken care of and our debt would be paid. Have you been bad? Then you can be very happy that God has forgiven you. When you get to heaven, you can stand very close to God and sing happy songs to him. When you
to make a wretch his treasure. How great the pain of searing loss! The Father turns his face away as wounds which mother chosen was. ashamed, I hear my mocking voice call out among the scoffers. It was my sin that held him there until it was accomplished. His